It seems like every time a topic's brought up on YouTube that generates a lot of traffic, everyone else jumps on board, puts their own spin on it, and hopes for the same traffic to their channel as well, whether the information is true or not. So when it comes to this mass RV exodus we're hearing so much about, we're going to have to go against the grain here and disagree with a lot of people on YouTube. We don't see it happening. The only thing we do see happening is a lot of clickbait. In this video, we're going to give you some actual stats that indicate there is no mass RV exodus taking place. Okay, so you've probably seen some of the videos out there about this mass RV exodus. We've seen them. We've actually made it a point to watch quite a few of them. And unfortunately, the reasons being given are, in our humble opinion of course, a little ridiculous. And it seems like the more videos we watch, the more ridiculous the reasons get. It's almost like clicks are more important than facts. But since one of the reasons we started our YouTube channel was to counter a lot of the hype, exaggeration, and half-truths surrounding the full-time RVing lifestyle, we almost felt a sense of obligation to also make a video on the topic, but supported by facts and common sense. So stick around because we're going to give you 3 huge reasons that clearly indicate there's no mass RV exodus taking place. But first, I want to go over some of the reasons being given for this alleged event. And the first one is difficulty finding campsites. First of all, if you're having a difficult time finding a campsite, then that alone is a pretty good indication there's no mass exodus taking place. But if it's the frustration of trying to find a campsite at a popular destination that people are saying is responsible for this exodus, well, I'm going to have to call BS. Since when have any of us been encouraged to not reserve a site at our favorite location if we want to make sure it's going to be there waiting for us when we want it? Just like restaurants, if you want to make sure you get a table at your favorite place on a Friday or Saturday night, and at the time you want it, you make the reservation. We've been full-time RVers for 4 years and have never had a problem reserving a campsite on private grounds, military bases, or state and national parks. Well, there was at one time we wanted to camp in Key West during the winter, and we started calling around for sites in November. Does that count? No. Key West is a prime location and winter is peak season. You have got to book these sites as far out as absolute possible, and even then, you might be on a waiting or cancellation list. It's always been like that. But more importantly, and this is where common sense just comes into play, not all full-time RVers are in constant search of campgrounds with full hookups and in the warmest or most popular locations. A good majority of us use a mixture of private campgrounds, state and national parks, military bases, BLM, driveways, and Walmart parking lots between destinations. Kind of like all these guys out here on BLM. And guess what? Not a single one of them had to make reservations. And there's thousands more just like them dispersed all over the land out here, including us. Now, there are some downfalls that come along with staying out here, like the 65, 70-degree weather in January, the killer sunsets, and being centrally located to some fantastic attractions and locations. But we all seem to be getting through it just fine. Another reason being given for this mass RV exodus is maintenance on RVs. And our rebuttal to that isn't so much statistical as it is a good dose of common sense. Listen, maintenance is required on anything you frequently use or live in order to keep it in optimal condition. And this applies to everyone, whether you're an RVer or not. Your vehicle, your home, even the clothes you wear, all have to be taken care of in order to make them last. And while full-timers may perform some extra maintenance on their RVs because they're used for more than just weekends or summer trips, it's not like we're turning down dinner invitations because we're just so bogged down with RV maintenance. That is such an over-exaggeration. But if it's about not having the know-how to perform the varying tasks of maintenance on your RV, well, you have 2 choices. You can either pay someone to do it for you, like I did with my car before I was a full-time RVer. You know, anytime it was due for an oil change, I took it in and paid someone to change it. Or if you're the kind of person who wants to or likes to do things yourself, you can learn. YouTube is a great place to teach yourself pretty much anything. But the point is this, most people, and I mean like 99.9% of people know, there's going to be some sort of maintenance required for an RV before they purchase it. This is just common sense. Like, really, where do people come up with this stuff? So let's talk about the wait times at RV shops for any repairs you might have to get done, because this is another one of those reasons people are saying is behind the mass RV exodus. Are the wait times longer? Sure, but this isn't true for just the RV industry. This is affecting most industries and has to do with supply chain and labor issues. For example, we're having some issues with our truck and have to get it into a shop to be looked at, but we couldn't get an appointment until the middle of February, and we made the appointment at the beginning of January. That's a long time to wait. Having said that, at no time did we consider taking part in the mass vehicle exodus going on right now. Well, I mean, that's because there isn't one, but if there was, we wouldn't participate. Another reason being given for this mass RV exodus is that people who decided to embark on this lifestyle are realizing it's just not what they thought it was going to be. Okay, I'm sure lots of RVers are getting off the road because it's not what they thought it was going to be. And what's new? Lots of people trade in their vehicle every 2 or 3 years because they grow bored with the one they have. Students change their major in the middle of their college education because they realize the one they originally chose isn't for them. Thousands of people every year change jobs, even careers, because they realize they want or need something different. And get this, countless people purchase stuff they can't actually afford and then have to turn it back in, and way too many people fail to research or plan accordingly when it comes to embarking on a new way of life. And then they realize they can't live the way they thought they could. There are a million reasons why people change their minds about everything in life, and full-time RVing is not exempt from that, but none of it means there's some sort of mass RV exodus taking place. That's just life. For every RVer getting off the road, there's another in line to take his or her place. Realistically, though, it's probably more like 2, 3, or even 5. And here are the 3 huge stats to back that up. Fact. In 2021, the RV industry shipped over 600,000 units, which equates to an approximate 40% increase over the previous year. In 2022, the projection is less, but still an increase from 2021. Now, I don't know about you, but what that tells me is that there's an increase in interest and demand for RVs. And under normal circumstances, I would stop right here because really, what more do you need? But I won't, because the next 2 stats are really important. Fact. Since the pandemic hit, there's been a huge shift in how people work. When we were in the heart of it last year, businesses were forced to allow their employees to work from home. But now, those same businesses are realizing just how cost-effective the whole work-from-home concept really is. And that concept has stuck. So there's been a huge increase in remote work, which now allows many more people to take their job on the road, either in that RV sitting in their driveway or the new one they're about to buy. And they are buying them. Remember the first stat I gave you? Fact. The price of housing increased by almost 20% in 2021 and is projected to increase even more in 2022, which has and is still opening the door even wider for tiny homes, many of which have wheels. There's no denying the fact that people are really starting to embrace the concept of living below their means, and this almost always starts with what they're living in. This is true for everyone, by the way, not just RVers. Now, you can do additional research and find even more stats that indicate RVing isn't going anywhere, like the billions of dollars the RV industry brings to our economy, how many people the industry actually employs, how many households own an RV, and the increase in that percentage over the last 20 years to include the last couple. Not to mention, the households that do own an RV and use it recreationally, the number of days they're using it is increasing as well. But here's the big one. There's a huge increase in the percentage of millennials and Gen Zers purchasing RVs, and it's not because they just happen to have a whole bunch of extra money laying around to buy an RV and use on the weekends. Remember, we're talking about 20 to 40-year-olds here. It's because they're living in them. They're working from them. They're traveling in them. And all this ties into the 3 big stats we already gave you. Yes, the numbers prove there's an increase in interest and demand for RVs, but that interest is being driven by a societal shift taking place right now. It's been taking place, and it all comes down to the fact that people are demanding more freedom. Okay, so for every equal, there's an opposite, right? Could things swing in another direction at any time? Of course they could. Only time will tell. But what we know right now from the research we've done, we only see more RV sales, more people working remotely, more people looking to live smaller and simpler, more people booking those campsites, and more people wanting to get out there and explore this beautiful country of ours. So The next time you see one of those YouTube videos with a huge title like Mass RV Exodus, hold their feet to the fire on that. As far as we're concerned, if someone wants to make a bold assertion like that, one they know is going to capture every RVer's attention, then we expect to see some data on the subject that can back it up and that actually makes sense. Not just a misleading, over-exaggerated title meant to dupe you into watching their video. That is called clickbait. Now I'm going to get out of here because there's an RV show going on and I don't want to miss it. But give us your thoughts on the subject, whether you agree with us or not. Put them in the comments and we'll definitely get back to you. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give this video a like, hit that notification button, and subscribe to our channel. It all helps support what we're doing here and the time we put into it. And as Sal always says, we'll catch you down the road. Bye. Thanks for watching.